best podcast in this side of the universe.
We share, we learn, and we create.
The Geek Corner.
Hello everybody, greetings from a galaxy far, far away and another Nordic land. Welcome to this episode of the Geek Corner and to those of you who survived to Thanos' snap. On this mic, Daira Medina, and on the other mic, Daniela Moreno.
Hi.
As our short intro might have suggested, today we are going to talk about Avengers Endgame. Today we have two amazing and important guests to explore the wonders of the MCU and how to apply this into an English classroom. On the one hand, here you have Sergio Picon, language teacher and film enthusiast.
Thank you.
And on the other hand, here you have Diego Ruiz, lawyer, pop culture fan, and content creator.
Hello there.
Okay, guys. So how are you feeling today? Excited?
Yes, very well. Yeah, excited, and it would be nice to go back to last year when I enjoyed this film in the cinema, theater. So
Okay. What about you, Diego?
A bit nervous. Just a bit.
That's
yeah,
it's
and a
an
bit nervous
experiment
too.
for all of
Yeah.
us.
But it's
So,
No pressure.
Okay. It is important to state that we're not going to focus only on Avengers Endgame. We are going to focus on the movie as a tool for us as future teachers and already teachers to pedagogy and how to apply this in our classrooms. This
Sure.
podcast is divided in three different moments. On the first one, we are going to analyze the movie and to see what we can get there, not only aspects related to vocabulary, but more related to the plot too. Then we are going to have the end game. And let me tell you guys, it's amazing. And then finally we have the marvelous class for all of us who love teaching. So guys, let's get started.
You're ready.
okay. Let's start.
Hey folks, this is the Geek Corner. Make sure you check all of our creations. Our content was produced for Altipedia.
Okay.
For those of you who are listening Living Under a Rock, last year Marvel Comics released a movie ending what they call the Infinity Saga. This promised ending started with Avengers Infinity War. All of us remember when we saw the Thanos snap and all of our favorite heroes disappeared. How sad was that indeed? And with Avengers Endgame, the resolution and how our heroes redeem and how they save the planet. In other words, Avengers Endgame is the movie who concludes all the previous stories built up in 10 years of movies. Wow, a lot of time, guys. So all of this, for me, personally, is the reason what makes Avengers Endgame the biggest movie of the MCU. So what do you think, guys?
Well, I think I agree with you, Daida. Not only because it's the last of the, like you said, the Infinity Saga, but because of the reunion of all the, if I'm not mistaken, all of the MCU heroes and heroines. So yes, it's the biggest film, and with some loose ends, but it was a great job by the directors.
What about you, Diego?
I totally agree with you both. That's the climax of a 10-year-long journey when we saw all those characters evolve and being developed. That makes that movie a very exciting event in the history of cinema, in my opinion.
Okay, I think we all agree on this one. An important part of movies are the characters. I think we all agree on that. So now we are going to talk about the characters of Endgame a little bit. First, we have one character that we can say it is the father of the MCU. Can you guess who is this character?
Iron Man?
Iron Man? Indeed, yes.
You said Iron Man would be the what of the
The father of the MCU.
the father of the MCU.
The first movie and the one who started the whole universe.
Yes.
From this character, I can mention 3 different moments. The first is the Tony Stark entrepreneur, the one who was selfish and only cared about himself. Then we have the Tony Stark Iron Man, the one who started to grasp a little bit into what being a hero is. And then we have,
Selfish.
indeed, Daniela, you are right. And then we have the Iron Man at Endgame, the one who was, well, I can say that who cared a lot about all the people. He cared enough to sacrifice, as we could see in the movie. So my question here, guys, is: was his sacrifice necessary or not? What do you think?
Well, I think it was. Yeah, I think it really was. And like Diego mentioned earlier, and when you did this summary of this very good summary of the evolution of Tony Stark and his persona or his personality, and how he evolved into what probably being a hero means, then there you have it. To end or to finish and to continue holding up his image as a hero, then I think it's not only was it necessary for everybody, his sacrifice, but also his I don't know, his to held up his importance as a hero and as a father of the MCU, and maybe also as a leader of the Avengers. Although Captain America was also a leader, but I think Tony Stark was another kind of leader.
What kind of leader do you think he was?
Well, what kind of a leader? I think Captain America was more the leader in battles, but Tony Stark was more the mind, like the leading mind behind the Avengers.
Okay, those are really interesting insights. Diego, what do you think? Tell us.
Well, I see that his sacrifice was also a narrative need, an instrument of narrative, because it shows from one or for one hand, say that way, that there's a consequence, a destructive consequence of using the Infinity Stones and the globe, even if it is for a good thing. Okay. And the other thing I consider is that sacrifice means that even the greatest victories have a great cost. Have a great cost. That's a meaningful message, in my opinion, and it was necessary because of that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so let me see if I get. If we were comparing the characters on the movie, we could place him on the good side, right?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
I guess, yes.
For the next character, I want you to think about the other side, the bad one, the villain.
Mm-hmm.
So our villain here was Thanos. His main goal was to erase half of the living creatures from existing to save resources on the universe. So this idea for different people might seem really crazy, but others might think, okay, this might be justified. From what side do you think you are? Is this idea crazy or is this justified?
It is. I can't answer if it is justified or no, because for me there's a lot of flaws in that ideas of Thanos. Because in a span of 50 years, well, one generation, the population of the universe will be the same over again, because people reproduce. Okay, so it would have been more intelligent to maybe make half of the universe infertile, or to endure some kind of one-child policy like in China. But killing half of the universe's population was a lot of caused a lot of suffering and was totally unnecessary.
Okay, and what do you think, Sergio?
Okay. Could you remind me your question again, please? So
Do you think Thanos' motto, erase half of the living creatures from existence, justified or not?
Well, this is this is I think a great philosophical question that I would give as an extra or as a plus positive to the directors and those who were in charge of the script. And I think I agree with Diego. Thanos was not, I think, well, of course, we have always this narrative of the duality between the heroes and the villains, but we always have on the side of that character which we recognize as the villain, a story behind them, and this story or this idea, this ideal behind the story of this person recognized as the villain, and is also for some good from their perspective. So from his perspective, he thought he was necessary to erase half of the population or half of the living creatures of the planet or the universe, right? For a good cause. But as Diego said, this may cause a lot of unnecessary suffering. So no, I would say no, it's not justified. It's not.
Okay, not justified. Okay, that's a really good insight, you guys. I can see that this is a really amazing analysis. In addition to this, there is one important element here in the movie, one that they use to solve all the problems that comes up in the plot. Do you remember what they used to gather all the Infinity Stones?
Yes, the glove.
Mm-hmm.
Not to
Not
gather.
really.
Okay.
When they went back to the past.
Okay, time travel. Yes.
Time travel. Yes.
So this is, an interesting tool and resource that they use in movies. They use it in many different ways. You can see that in movies such as Back to the Future, they use it in a logical and sequence order. Yeah. In Predestination, they try to follow the same pattern, but they mix and they play with all the roles. And in Avengers Endgame, we have different mechanics. In Avengers Endgame, they go back in time. If they change something, they create another timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So, you guys, do you think these time travels contributed to the plot or not?
Contributed to the plot?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in what way? To make the film more attractive and less and not too focused on action, or
could they have solved the plot or the problems that came out without the time travel?
Without time travel. I'll let Diego answer first.
I mean, they needed some way to get the Infinity Stones to reverse the snap.
Yes.
But it was very confusing the way they all went back into the past, and every time some of them went into the past, they created a new timeline. That confused me a lot and took me out a little bit from the movie, to be sincere.
Okay, what do you think?
Okay, to continue on to further on what Diego was saying from the perspective of the viewer. I think it depends on the kind of viewer, because I like these kinds of plots in which, like Back to the Future. Back to the Future is not very difficult to follow, since the character Doc Emmett Brown, he's always explaining. But yeah, works like Endgame, or maybe in today's, which is being very popular now, Dark. This may become a bit difficult to understand, but I think it's also thought-provoking. It motivates the viewer to try and get out of the comfort zone of the mind, and that comfort zone being thinking that time is linear. It's always linear. So I think it may be beneficial for us in the way we think, shaping another way or introducing another way of thinking.
Okay, what do you think, Diego? Do you agree? As a viewer who is keen on logical sequence order?
Sergio has a point, because a more linear perspective of time traveling is the one they show in Harry Potter. That's the thing that comes into my mind. Because in Harry Potter, you can go back in time, but you can't change anything. Okay, you just take part into what has already happened, but you can't change what happened.
Mm.
And I like that a lot more because it was more logical for me. It's my own taste, my own opinion.
Okay.
So in Harry, okay.
No, continue,
Yeah,
Sergio.
go ahead.
Continue. Go ahead.
So yeah, because I haven't watched Harry Potter. So in Harry Potter, they go back, but they cannot change anything. They can just watch or observe. Is that it?
They can take part into the things that happen, but it's the same timeline.
Yeah.
So they were always there. They went back in time and they can see themselves and take part into what is happening in the past. But when that past was the present, they were already there. They
don't change anything in the future.
They don't change anything.
So nothing changes when they go back to the present. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
I think those are our general conclusions. In general, it depends on the viewer. General conclusion.
Also the likings.
Totally agree.
Daniela.
Yeah.
To conclude with this section and taking into account the importance of the movie, not only for Marvel Comics, but also for the fans, I include myself in there, who waited 1 year to find out what happened to our favorite heroes.
Hey folks, this is the Geek Corner. Make sure you check all of our creations. Our content was produced for Altipedia.
So hey, you guys that are listening to this, I want to ask you, what do you think about Thanos' premise? What do you think about time traveling? Yeah. Let us know in the comment box, please. So, well, I want to thank Diego and Professor Sergio for your thoughts on this. That was an interesting analysis, actually. And what do you think if we go to have some fun now?
Okay, sure.
Okay,
great.
That's fine.
So,
great.
For this section of the podcast, we designed for you a short game. It says how well you know the MCU and see if you will be part of the half living creatures who survive. Are you?
Okay, I hope so.
Fine.
Let's figure this out. Okay. This game is called Who Said What.
Okay.
So I'm going to read out some phrases, iconic phrases that was part of the movie, and you are going to tell me who said that. Yeah? Ready?
Okay, ready?
Ready.
Okay, here you are not taking turns. If you know the answers, answer. Go ahead. Right?
Okay.
Okay. The first one. I am inevitable.
Thanos.
Perfect.
Okay.
Come on, Diego.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's an easy one. That was an easy one.
Yeah, that was the easiest one, I think. Next one. Hail Hydra.
Captain
America.
Yeah.
Great. You got two right. Come on, Diego.
We can see you prepared, guys. Amazing.
Yep.
Okay. So far, so good. Yeah.
Okay, this one is also easy. I love you 3000.
Tony Stark.
Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Who else?
His daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. This one is not that easy. Okay. Some people move on, but not us. Who said that?
Some people move on,
but not us.
Let's see.
No idea.
No.
Can I make a guess?
Yep.
I don't know. Black Widow?
No.
Thor?
No. Okay, a clue. He, male, he was one of the leaders of the team in the movie. You were talking about leaders. Do you remember?
Captain America?
Yeah.
Okay.
The man of the conscience.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Now the last one. This one is also easy. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Thanos.
Thanos, yeah.
Oh, you got all of them right.
That's my favorite quote.
So you're in favor of erasing half of the creatures of the Earth.
I'm in favor of balance, not,
In favor of
not
balance,
erasing.
yeah.
Said you were not. You
Yeah,
already
yeah.
said.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was
I
quite
agree.
easy, huh? Let's move on to the second part. You still got the chance to prove you are, you know about this marvelous movie. The second part is true or false. Yep.
Okay.
I'm going to read out again some phrases. Well, not phrases, statements actually. And you are going to tell me true or false.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready?
Okay. The first one. Not everyone accepts Avengers membership. Is it true or is it false?
True.
True. Yes.
But that's not from Endgame. That's from the Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because at the end he was offered by Tony to be part of the Avengers, but he rejected because he didn't feel worthy.
Yes, you're right.
Okay,
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay, another one. The Wasp came up with the team's name. Is that
The
true?
what?
The Wasp.
The Wasp
Came up with the team's name.
with the team's name.
No idea.
No, I
Can't
think it's false, but I'm not sure. Sorry.
I say false too
False?
because I can't remember.
I wouldn't say it would be the Wasp who came up with the name. It must have been one of the leaders.
Okay.
Or Nick Fury.
Okay.
Yeah. Or the Shield. Or I don't know.
He's the creator. He's the creator.
Yeah.
This reference was taken right from the comics.
Oh.
Yes, it was a tricky question. So, your face, Sergio. You're like, you were cheating. In the comics, the Wasp was part of the original member, so she was a leader in there too. And she was who said, why not Avengers? And the name was catchy and they accepted.
Like we say in Colombia, that was amigo. A monkey.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it was true. Guys,
True.
you failed.
Okay.
Let's see if you can get this right. This was Brie Larson's first time playing Captain Marvel.
No, it wasn't. False.
False because
Why? Yeah.
Her movie came out that same year, but
before.
Yeah.
Final answer?
False.
False. Yes.
What do you think, Daira?
No, it's not.
Here, no, it is true.
It's true?
Because Avengers Endgame was recorded first.
No, but this is a tricky question.
Remember that Avengers Endgame was recorded at the same time that Infinity War. So it was recorded in 2017, but it wasn't released until 2019.
I quit. This is not fair.
We are learning, guys. We are learning.
Okay.
Those ones are tricky. Okay, the last one. The ancient one. Do you remember that woman? The ancient one? Yeah. So the ancient one appears in the big battle scene. True or false?
In which scene?
In the big battle scene. The final scene, I think.
The final scene? The big battle scene.
The big battle scene. Right.
I can't recall her face. Let's say false. False.
So Diego says it's false. Professor Sergio.
Yeah, I'd say it's false. Yeah.
Okay, you got it right.
Final answer.
False.
Okay.
Okay.
You were so anxious.
Finally one right.
Come on.
So thank you guys for participating.
What's the recount? We won? Everyone won?
Later. That was an interesting game. We tested you and we were not disappointed at all, honestly. But I have a last question. Is it possible to take this game and put it into a class? For example, an English class?
Yes.
Is it possible?
Well, I think it is absolutely possible, but yeah, you can adapt it so that, well, like we did, it gives room for discussion, gives room for debate, gives room for conversation.
Yeah.
So absolutely, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
From my point of view, that's the point of view from a social sciences professional. Okay, being able to take those questions and, like Sergio said before, take some issues, some important matters from that can make a good class, a good debate.
Okay. In the true and false game, you can add the whys, right? The reasons, give reasons why. If it's false, why? And well, you're asking about these two games, but you can come up with other games.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the thing that came into my mind was the question, the first questions Daira made us. So that questions make a good starting point for a debate.
Actually, well, to complement the first game we played, right, the first section of the game with the lines of the characters. To practice listening, you can have students listen to the line and then choosing who said it. Then it will.
Yes.
Those are great ideas. Well, guess what? Our third part of the podcast deals with pedagogy. Having this in mind and not forgetting that this podcast is aimed for teachers, there is one important element that we have to take into account while teaching in public schools. That is planning and delivering a class with appealing topics such as I suggested before, Avengers Endgame, or this topic in general. So now we're moving to the third part of the podcast.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe, the Geek Corner.
For those of you who are listening, a disclaimer. Chun, chun, chun. The content of this section of the podcast is aimed for teachers. I repeat, for teachers. If you want to stay, be aware that you might not understand some of the terms, but if you decide to stay, you will learn a lot. So now, remember what Professor Xavier taught us. Just because someone stumbles and loses their path doesn't mean they're lost forever. And guys, guess what? We are not going to stumble here and we will follow the light. In other words, let's see how we can apply this in our class.
So first, for this part of the podcast, I would like you to come up with a whole class, right? With a whole class structure.
Okay.
Don't freak out.
Yeah.
Right.
Taking into account all what we have talked about MCU and the game and all the ideas you already gave me. So I'm going to suggest some features. If you have to take notes, maybe for the construction of this marvelous class. So the features are: the level of English will be B1, okay? B1. The students are going to be in 11th grade. This is going to be a 2-hour class, just 2-hour class, to plan 2-hour class. The grammar and the vocabulary will be proposed by you. You can propose. I'm not going to tell you where to be, adjectives, no, just you proposed. The number of students will be 30 to 35. And the format of the lesson plan you will be using will be CLIL lesson plan. For those who don't know what CLIL stands for, CLIL means Content Language Integrated Learning. Yep. It's just a format, a document in which professors or teachers plan their classes.
But in general, this format it is called CLIL because it is aimed for a specific content rather than only a grammar class or a class only focused on the common English topics. Yeah. So for this, I want you to relax, our guests and those who are listening, because I know you are thinking, okay, these girls want us to plan a whole class. No, I want you to think about three different activities. First, we are going to talk about an introductory activity to open our class. Then, we are going to talk about an activity related to the development of the class. And finally, a concluding activity. On the fair, well, I'm going to help you a little bit. I brought some examples, but with a different level, just to show you or to show you how the structure works. I would make my activities for an A1 level. And as an introductory activity, I would show my students some flashcards with the characters. And I would ask them, okay, are they men or women? Just to practice questions and to practice this vocabulary, these words, and to see if they can make the difference on the characters. Then, for the development, I want them to describe the characters of the flashcards. But remember that this is an A1 level, so it's going to be really short. So they are going maybe to describe their physical appearance. And finally, they are going to share with their classmates what they wrote. Okay, guys, did you have time to think about your activity?
I'm
Yeah.
not I'm not familiar with this kind of thing, like designing the classes, applying this methodology, but
Don't make a
I,
face.
I have an I
Don't
have an
worry.
idea. I have an idea.
Okay. So first of all, guys, I would like to know which methodology would you apply in this marvelous class?
Which methodology?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
What?
or which approach?
Mm-hmm. Diego, when we talk about methodology, we talk about maybe how we want it to be more dynamic, or if we want them to be more focused on vocabulary, or to watch some videos. What comes to your
Oh,
mind?
okay. Well, the thing is, I can't get out of my social sciences class
Okay.
because that's the only subject I have taught, ever taught. And the thing that comes into my mind is like making teams.
Mm-hmm.
You said the class was had like 30 students.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a large
Well,
class.
something like 4 teams to have a debate around some of the questions that you can see in the movies, like the one of the ideas of Thanos and killing half of the population of the universe. So they can have a good argument about that.
Okay.
That's a philosophical question.
Yes. I think specifically you can get some really good ideas from the analysis that we made at the beginning for this class you're talking about.
That's it. That's the reason I thought about it.
Okay. What about you, Sergio?
Okay. Well, I thought about different ideas. Some maybe following up, watching some scenes or video. I think it would also depend on what the students are familiar with the film, or which I think we would assume that they will be familiar with it. They like it, of course. And well, first I think I prepared a couple of things, and maybe say why using films or pop culture, but in this particular topic, films, is beneficial or positive. One of them is that films provide authentic language. So they show us, and they're a perfect tool, a very good tool for having a language, in real life language. They also aid language visually. So for low levels, such as A2, A2 plus, it's a great aid for students to see body language, to see facial gestures, to see other sorts of body language, like the eyes, like what we do with our hands, with the other parts of our bodies when we speak, so that students can, for instance, uh, as an introductory activity, um, maybe to spark their minds or their memories to one of those memorable scenes, and then try and ask students to write sentences to which what they remember that characters exactly said, so that they can practice grammar in that specific introductory activity. Write sentences. How well can you remember what the character said in this scene or in this memorable scene? While watching a scene or a film, students can come up with conversations. Well, basically they can do role play, so they can practice pronunciation, they can practice improve fluency, and they can come up with other conversations that characters could have had, right? So if when planning the battle, for instance, when doing all this, maybe was it better to say something else? Maybe Tony Stark should have said this, or Captain America should have talked to this other character and told him to do this or that. So to open or let students be creative, to spark creativity in students. Since it's B1, they can predict and practice future with will, make predictions. They can practice hypothetical language, like hypothesizing, working with conditionals, right? And in writing, they can come up with follow-up scenes, maybe writing the script of a scene, not a very short scene, maybe as a homework, as a follow-up. As a follow-up speaking, they can have debates, like Diego said, like Diego mentioned, discussions on the philosophical question, whether is it justified, like we did, whether is it justified to erase all the creatures in the earth to have this ideal world or ideal universe. So we can use films for many things. I mean, it's a great opportunity for the teacher and for students to explore on their creativity.
Okay, thank you. I can see that you had time to explore and to take in these ideas. Okay, Diego, you too. I mean, even if you're not an English teacher, you could take this into your field of action. That's remarkable. Thank you very much. And to conclude with this section, any special material you would like to use in this lesson plan? What do you think?
Like videos.
Videos, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, we are talking about a movie, so
Visual aids.
yes, that's it.
Visual aids, flashcards, like you mentioned. Yeah.
Okay. Finally, and to conclude, well, not the whole podcast, but this section related to these ideas to pedagogy. Guys, do you think pop culture is a useful resource to teach English or to use in social sciences?
Yes, but as a learner, as a language learner, pop culture is very important. Was very important to me because my own experience has taught me that understanding pop culture is not only an instrument but a motivation, because I learned a lot of English, a lot of vocabulary and grammar because I wanted to understand the music I loved. I wanted to understand those movies that was where I translated. I wanted to understand those video games that I couldn't bought, but I would download from the internet, and they were in English. And incidentally, I learned a little bit because I was motivated by that pop culture, by that entertainment. So I consider that that's very important, but a very good instrument, very good motivation.
Indeed. And in addition to what you said, I can identify and I can tell you that's how I learned English too, Diego. And what about you, Sergio?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's key, pop culture. Just as Diego mentioned, for me, music, I think, was the vehicle which led me to first learn English. And then with music, it came then video games, like Diego mentioned. I also played video games. All of them were in English. I learned a lot of vocabulary. I could hone up my listening skills, and then reading came, and then especially films, movies, series. Yes, I think it's key, especially in these times, right? Especially these digital times, live streaming times. Yes, I think it's key, and young learners especially are very keen into pop culture now through media, social media, right? That they now can follow anyone, any person in the world if they are, of course, if they have the access to through social media, they can follow anybody. And if these people communicate in English, then there's the motivation they have to understand what these people say, whether they are the role models or whatever reason they follow them.
Okay, thank you very much.
It's a good way to make your students understand that there's a reason that's different from the academy or getting a job. A good reason is to expand their access to information. Like you said, we are in this digital world now. You can get access to the content people is creating from every corner in this globe, and most of that content is in English. So if you know English, you can get access to all of that. You won't have an excuse to say no, I'm bored, or no, I can't get that, I don't know, paper because it's not in Spanish. No, you know English, and that's on the internet.
You know, Diego, that's thanks to globalization.
One of the good parts of globalization.
Yes.
Indeed, you are so right. So, plot twist, I wasn't recording.
Oh my God.
You weren't recording?
I'm just kidding. I just wanted you to relax.
Okay.
My God.
Daniela was.
Daniela didn't.
I was about to.
Didn't exactly relax.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to add something. It might sound cliche when teachers tell us, watch movies in English, listen to music in English, but it's true. It helps a lot. So guys, thank you so much. We are so thankful. And what else? I don't know. I'm so happy.
Thanks to you. I had fun. I had a great time, actually.
Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you for having me, Daira, Daniela, and thank you, Diego, as well. Nice to meet you as well.
Remember that those ideas might help some teachers to develop a class. Also, with this information that you gave us, we, Daira and me, are creating a lesson plan and materials that will be available on the ELTpedia website. So stay tuned with the Geek Corner Pop Instagram to have access to the materials. So that's it. Well, that's all for today's episode of the Geek Corner. Thanks for listening, and thank you, Diego, again for joining us, along with Sergio Picon, Professor Sergio, for sharing his tips on planning a class with this amazing movie. Join us again next week when we talk about video games. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and Instagram as the Geek Corner Pod, so you never miss an episode. So bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Wanna see what's new? Stay tuned in the Geek Corner.